See what happens. The first big news, the Prix, you've come into the box, barely a...
Yeah, 25.6 degrees air temp and 30 last time I looked during FP1. Comes to more grip, a better balance from the car. Ferraris, we heard Leclerc quite vociferous. Feels like driving on ice.
Yep.
So, yeah,
I don't know, but his car was jumping around a bit. That's not the conditions they go racing. So thinks back to his teammate Lando Norris when he will bring you this weekend.
Although I'd like to think the FP1 sessions that he gives up to a rookie driver.
Lando Norris leads the championship. Plenty of permutations. We'll bring them to you throughout the weekends. Where Sauber is here as well, stood at the back of the garage. But after 32 years and 607, and Carl Wendling are lined up on the grid in the South
African Grand Prix. JJ later, come on.
1,086 points for the team, the latest to compete. Yeah, I don't know if they're going to do a guard of honour for Peter. Name's Ted Kravitz that it just screams for the Sauber years.
Definitely.
I don't think Peter Sauber paddock and on the grid.
I think Robert Kubica thinks that. Let me tell you about what's been going on. As you refer, largely depends on the setup work they do. Also some changes to Oscar Piastri's the car. Those changes largely finished. Saw the tyres as they came off Max's car. Happy at all. So had everyone else was having a similar kind of experience underneath him, both Oscar and Max now.
Qualified fourth, finished sixth last year. Before that, before we reflected on Sauber, to me, get on the front row, you give your
circuit that does reward a powerful.
Yep.
It isn't a race where it's per stint like we were at the last one.
Phew.
Qualifying is
a weird one, isn't it? Because you're absolutely right. We have 30 dot parks on the back of the boat. Sure.
I'm sure it hasn't got any.
Oh, well parked, Fernando or Lance. Pole has what? 10 times.
I wonder if it's got anything to do with the very short run. You know, it's a track that something extra out of it as a driver. It's stats are there to be broken, and I'm sure the man is just.
My helmet is pointing upward, please.
Understood.
It's going to make your eyes water. By the time we get to Abu Dhabi, and we've had teams have done their development, and
it's not a track where you see items that they can go through as we rate FP2.
Look at that, 7 wins this season. The could get 8 if they're all tied on 7. Oscar, so on a count back, he would win that. But quite frankly, and I haven't got that far.
It's just going to. They're going to be thinking firstly about the victory and see if there's anything that can be. Years ago in 2016 springs to mind with Lewis Hamilton.
Verstappen crosses the line to complete his code for you. If you want the chance of the race so you can impress your friends with all your knowledge, I will be using that. Thank you very much. Our code for you as we just watched the Ferrari. You need the Sky Sports login and your remote control. There's your parish notices for but the rest are mediums or hens, and then see what happens after that, and he is etc. Let's follow his progress.
This season he lost, I don't know whether it was a bit of confidence for the year, and maybe that just swung into where he had the low grips. Came good in terms of pace for the Aussie, but I'm sure he's going to, and certainly you've got to say, a bit of catch up because the other drivers have.
Fastest, he's nearly 8/10 off the pace up on his flying lap on the soft compound tyre. Soft tyres Behrman, soft tyres Hadjul for next year, and he looks slow. He goes quickest overall by about, no, it's now a second off the pace. There's a possible impeding here. Max.
Maybe he is.
Max was, the radio probably came to Max a little bit. So already there, Hans.
That's who this guy is.
Yeah.
I think malicious from Max there is just just reading the situation slightly wrong because he.
And it is possible to get that wrong at the moment because there are somewhat. Should we go trackside? We can go to turn 12, which is a fat timeout. Martin Brundle, good evening to you.
Actually, it's a little 90-degree right-hander. If they want to find themselves some space, prepare their time of speed. You see the Alpine going through there, easily gets out of the way. And when we've got an Aston Martin shenanigans start, especially during this, the sort of track furniture. But when you've got a lot of roll loaded, so you can do that, that means you can go through there. And that is Oscar Piastri. Now, he does that quite a lot, actually, if the backsliding, but then eventually straight. So that's pretty critical. But as Max Verstappen goes through, having been off throttle for quite a long time, sounds like track. And George Russell's Mercedes too. And I don't think that was. Interrogate and off the throttle last weekend in Qatar. So an important little section.
Yeah, thanks ever so much, Martin. We're getting really good change for next season. Drivers pick up the throttle.
Yeah, all that's going on there. Save more fuel, and normally aspirated V8s, that's winning. So it does sound odd when you're out on track like loading the car up as you brake. So Orlando lose the rear end on his first proper picking, and you can't be aggressive therefore on the brakes. These drivers coming up to turn 6, fully loaded with downforce, and as the downforce bleeds off you, and that's what's going on in turn 12.
Yeah. I was talking to someone, a very clever person last night. So what you need to do is you've got to be like Back to the Future, you know, into the back of the DeLorean, and then
I'm sure
he says we're not. I said, I'm sorry. He said, who's for next year? Risk for next year, which I thought was a really. We're on board with Lewis Hamilton underneath him, and we've seen the struggles, haven't we, in the last few. Fastest overall. Lewis, by the way, of each. And there's Max Verstappen.
Lewis, another one of those drivers, of course, didn't take part, so Lewis back in action now, and 11 at this point as well, and so he's another driver that was your feet, and almost obviously there's a lot of good that comes from it, but a little bit counterproductive. You're very lucky in terms of
coming very much into an operating window that's being set by Hadjar. Welcome back. This time in the evening, and the wind and the sea.
With the car after the comes down a bit, disperses, and we're now at 20 and better. So yeah, we're around 10 degrees. There can sometimes be over a second of performance.
What we need in the commentary box is something a little bright. Face the camera, and then everyone will know. But, this is the first.
This is the first.
Excellent.
Is this part of being full-time in Formula One?
Yeah, it's part. He's a rookie or a test driver, a reserve driver. Yeah, too late for next year, and I apologise for that. We should have got.
We're yet to wait.
But otherwise, the sequence goes on.
At the beginning, because we were coming here, I don't know if the temp. I'm sure the cars feel much better now than they did.
Well, this
driving at the same time.
TV.
It's dirty, and also it was with the track temperature. But for sure now in FP2, generally when the track temperature is lower, the grip's much better. Because the last time I drove was in Mexico. I used to be back in a proper environment.
In the kind of... When's it locked in?
I think it has sometimes been later. It really depends. Give the sessions away, because ultimately that means that what I plan, but you need to be dynamic, and I think some people were doing FP1s in Bahrain already. You're with the car, and how happy are the drivers?
See the two cars or not?
Yes, there is.
Not a problem.
Yeah, I'm sure. You two, my friends, yeah, there is a difference. I mean, every car has a different team's car. You hear often the drivers say, so here in Formula One, where you actually develop driving styles and...
Well, look, we've got two drivers, Max Verstappen and Isaac Hadjar, on the side during the first sector. Isaac is out on Max, so nearly 3/10, mid-123s. So kind of puts that on there to go half a second while as he makes his way one more corner.
Look very nice and tidy in that sector 3, and on this sector is the most grip limited, and on this track the grip becomes important. So sector struggling a little bit in sector 1, but then he has more time.
You mentioned it looked controlled, and as does Hulkenberg's. From what I can make out, Paul, it's that turn 12, it looks exciting and quick. It's not necessarily
car. By the way, that was a stonking lap from Hulkenberg in FP1. I think. Oh, that was close.
He stopped.
And the car is so low and stiff, and that's been removed, but there's a few new ones. And
Norris had a moment there as well. You're just going to have to rework the line, but
just the other side of it, but less than a Tinelli. And a rookie his way and has fought back.
All the rookies have done a good job. It's always going to be a bit of a shock for a rookie to do their job on a few weekends. That some of these Formula 1 drivers, you know, they want to come late to the track and so on.
Got to apologise for that, I'm afraid, Paul. You're not in a deep language, ladies and gentlemen. Afraid so.
English is not my first language.
I'm sure the mechanic 3-0 puts 3.5 tenths between himself. Dream start. Estonia not
in for how small the country is. There's been a few weeks ago or back in the day who have been very close to have deal done, and that was the time with BMW pulled. And I would say from motorsport there's been many successful people kind of bring that flag to Formula One, and the journey started from my father, who was
we've made some changes in the background.
We're on board with Oscar Piastri. Your father
crazy, and then he didn't let. Where actually he wanted to race on dirt bikes, always at the racetrack, saw him race. Then he got me a go-kart, got a really bad one.
A decent time for Oscar Piastri, nearly 7/10 off. Franco Colapinto has just got Pierre Gasly's form in qualifying in the last few appearances this season. What have you learned from
being together for that qualifying? Because but very often I've heard on the debriefs, he's just able to put it all together, and that's why I think they've built this good entourage and then just put the package together for qualifying, and that's and trying a lot of things. But when it comes
so after FP1 you'll go back in there, and so then how's that for you?
Yeah, for sure, how good your feedback is, and that's something I've worked a lot confident that I can deliver a good structurized feedback.
Nicely controlled that.
Almost Max, that you need to be structured. I mean, sometimes feel and understand, but for the engineers the most impossible, and that's what I try to do. And from what I heard, they were very happy they did, and if what I suggested was the right direction.
Back as well. We could talk all night, we can't. And the year after, we'll be talking about...
Much, and sorry for the language.
Ted Kravitz has some news on Oscar Piastri.
Referred to again, bit of a blast from the past. Verstappen, it's even going okay for George Russell. They don't have a balance yet. He doesn't have a balance yet. To the box, made a quick adjustment via the end of the hour, and he's still not happy. Practice 3. Let's see how this, Anthony, is the times, or have a look at some...
How you can lose a lot of time in the final set.
Are used down here as now. This is 160 miles. You can hear them. I almost you can smell them. Haste. Important place to be. So they're flat out through here into the pit lane. That's the and practicing that. So they're coming off this corner at 160, getting in the pit lane through the pit. Every little thing matters. This stage of the season, lift, or they used to run wide here. The track's quite smooth. They know in 2 testing corners like going on. Back to you.
Martin didn't see was this moment for Oscar to turn 6 into the chicane up. Just under 7/10 down.
Might have to have a cheeky look at that one on the onboard.
And that is a massive worry. Did it look like...
Explain completely the lockup. That would be more of a tier or vice versa, depending on how you have it set up. The mid-corner phase, high-speed phase, electric motor, regen, which you can use some of the lockup. So, I mean, that's to get to the right answer. Is what you can do. Sorry, Crofty, going back to where Martin was standing low terms, and the back of your neck really stand on it. It's just really something else. I'm very jealous if you can't tell.
Well, this is fantastic.
That is the kind of feedback.
Why it's so good. That way you might be...
McLaren underneath it. Piastri's
13th, and well, that lap, the one. Norris and Verstappen then.